welcome to the Christian Bookshelf. I'm Lisa, and as you could probably guess from the thumbnail, I recently had a birthday, and I made out with quite a few books. First up, we have When Forever Comes. This one is by Tani Suchi. Tani Suchi. This one is a romance book, and it says, a decade of prayers reunited them. Only a miracle can keep them together. I thought that was a pretty good hook. Next up is 1,000 Words. This one is a Mandy Blake book. This one, I really liked the blurb on the back, so I wanted to read that for you. It says, Tyler's last year of residency is all work and no play, just the way he likes it. His life would be smooth sailing into his medical career if he could improve his bedside manner. He agrees to a blind date, but only to practice communication skills. Then he's speechless when he sees who is across the table. Sissy isn't the one to turn down an adventure, especially not a blind date with a reportedly handsome doctor. When the blind date turns out to be her brother's friend Tyler, she's not at all disappointed. Can she convince him to go with the flow for once? He's cautious, and she throws caution to the wind. When Tyler's loyalty is torn between his friend and the woman he's falling for, one unspoken word could be enough to change everything. Oh, doesn't that sound so good? All right, next up is Letters of Grace. This one is by T. Bell. This one is about a married couple that grows apart and they are trying to find their way back to each other. So it says, Emrys loved Brooks Montgomery since she was 6, and he proposed with a strawberry ring pop on the playground. 22 years, a real marriage, and a 3-year-old daughter later, she still loves him, but no one warns you how hard marriage is, even if you are in love. I also got a Surefire Love. This one is Emily Conrad. Small towns have long memories, and generations of dysfunction burned Blaze's reputation before her own faults could. So this one is a contemporary Christian romance. Next up we have, you notice a theme here, all these romance books. We have A Run at Love. This one is Tony Shiloh. And we have on this one, A Contender Running for the Roses, A Best Friend Racing for Love, A Romance Worth the Challenge. I've heard a lot of really good things about this book, so I'm really excited to give it a try. Next up, we have 3 Days to Forget. This one is by Dulcie Dameron. This one I've heard so much about, and it says, a 3-day romance in Lake Tahoe with a perfect stranger. 0 promises, only kisses. What could possibly go wrong? Now this one, based on the cover, I'm thinking I'm probably going to read this during the winter season, maybe when we get our first snow here in Idaho, which might not be till like December or January. So that one's definitely on the list, but I've heard such good things about it. I'm really looking forward to this one. Okay, next up, my husband actually picked this one out for me. It's called The Unlikely Yarn of the Dragon Lady. This is Sharon J. Mondragon. There's an accent over that O. I learned Spanish once upon a time, and you're supposed to pronounce those. I'm not sure if she does. Anyway, this is about a group of ladies who get together and knit prayer shawls, and they get kicked out of the church. So it is their journey after that. And it's not a romance, it is just like a women's fiction, but it is Christian. So that's going to be one to look forward to. Another shift in genre here. This one is one that I'm definitely late to the party on, but I love Alice in Wonderland. So we have The Wonderland Trials by Sarah Ella. I've heard so many people talk about this book, but whenever they start to, I kind of shut my ears off because I want to be surprised. I'm one of those readers, I don't really want to know a whole lot about the book before I read it, because I do like to discover the plot line as I go along. With that said, this one is young adult fantasy, and I'm hoping it doesn't have any spice in it. I have no idea. As I said, I don't really know what the storyline's going to be. I just know it's Alice in Wonderland. And next up, this one just came out recently. I picked up the last copy they had at my local bookstore, and it's probably going to be the next book that I read, and that is Beyond Ivy Walls, Rachel Fordham. I talked about this one in another video about my most anticipated upcoming book releases. This is one I was probably the most excited for on that list. So now I have it, and I will be reading it next. I picked this one up as my own birthday present. Beyond Ivy Walls was one. The other one I picked up for myself was Never Fall Again. This one is by Lynn Blackburn. I have not read any of her books yet. I'm kind of new to the more Christian-based romantic suspense books. So this will be my first one. I believe it's the first book in the Gossamer Falls series. Yeah. Look, she puts the series order on there. Thank you. I love when authors do that. So we'll see if Lynn Blackburn ends up being a must-read author for me. I'm really hoping so. Next up on my list is Shepherds for Sale. This one is by Megan Basham. This is one that just came out like a week or two ago, I think. And it's about how the evangelical leaders traded the truth for a leftist agenda. So I'm looking forward to this. I've seen her on a lot of my Christian YouTubers that I watch, and I'm very fascinated by what she has to say in here. So we have that one to look forward to. And then a random book that was not on my list, but my husband gave me, is called Conversational Capacity. The Secret to Building Successful Teams That Perform When the Pressure is On. This is by Craig Weber. My husband thought that it would be a great book for me to read because I like to have conversations with people, whether it's friends, family, strangers, whomever, specifically about Christianity, and I like to talk about Jesus and defend my faith. So he was thinking this book sounded like it might be beneficial for me to read. This last book is nothing like any of the others, and this one's very specific to me, but I just wanted to share it with you since I got it for my birthday. Just to set it up, last couple months ago, we went to this convention called Rise Up Con, and I got to speak personally with the screenwriter for the God's Not Dead movies. He co-wrote What If with Kevin Sorbo. He wrote Nefarious, which came out last year. That was starring Sean Patrick Flanery. So very successful screenwriter. And he was talking about how we don't necessarily, I think this might be a quote from C.S. Lewis, but I'm going to butcher it. But basically, we don't necessarily need more Christian content out there, but we need more Christians making content. And so whether that's music or movies or books or whatever, I know that as a Christian, the current culture is very upsetting to me. And so how do we shift that? Well, we have to contribute. And it doesn't have to be specifically faith-based things, but if we create things from the Christian biblical worldview, then that's still going to have good messaging in it, and that's going to be potentially influential within culture. And that's really the goal. So with that, and this is not the first time this idea has kind of hit my radar, I like to write. I've never published anything. And so I asked for this book. My husband got it for me, and it is called Kill the Dog, the first book on screenwriting, to tell you the truth. I'm assuming the title is kind of a play off of Save the Cat. So without knowing a whole lot about the author's intentions, I would guess that it's kind of the antithesis to Save the Cat, but we'll see. So maybe one day I will be a screenwriter and you guys can come see my movies. All right, so now I've got 12 more books to add on to my shelves back there. I don't think there's any space. I did get this little, where's my finger go? I got one of these things. So many people have them as their like TBR shelf. I think I'm just going to use it as kind of like a bookshelf, not necessarily for my TBRs per se, but I just thought it was cute and a nice little addition of color to the room. So yeah, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you sticking through to the end, and I will see you next time.